right, so this is day one of Zach Pogrob's Press Record 30. Every day for the next 30 days, I'm recording a 10 to 15 minute video for YouTube, and I plan on touching on a lot of things. I want to spend these 30 days personally. What you can expect in these 30 days is everything that I do on a day-to-day basis and the ideas that mean the most to me as somebody who's considers himself an athlete, an artist, an entrepreneur. Athlete in the sense of I played college football and still trained pretty heavily and extensively, both in running and lifting, jumping. On the artist side, I've been writing every day now for about 3.5 years. I have 2 books self-published. This Way to the Stars, an introduction to philosophy, and then This Way to the Stars, a history of the hero. They're up there on my bookshelf. Look at philosophy and mythology. And then about 1.5 years ago, I started a Substack where I write a weekly essay on what I consider a classic or old idea. So that's the artist side. And then entrepreneur side, about 3 years ago, I started my venture into gym entrepreneurship that then lived in Minneapolis during COVID about 3 years ago. And when things were shut down, I had the opportunity to invest in a gym concept with a friend in Minneapolis that was centered around sauna and cold tubs, and then also had group workout classes. So I made that investment, did that in Minneapolis for about half a year before I moved down to Austin 3 years ago, and then shortly after moving to Austin, became a co-owner of a gym down in Austin called Squatch Frontier Fitness, which has changed my life. And so when I say artist, athlete, entrepreneur, that's what I mean. And then also for my day job, I'm a startup lawyer, specializing in the venture capital space, and I help companies raise money. So mostly advising them during the formation stage, but then also in financings when they're trying to raise capital. How I anticipate using these 30 days is to share with you some of my favorite ideas and insights that have come in all of those domains. Most of them are going to be things that I've written about in some way, shape, or form, either in one of my books or my newsletters. And then some of them are going to be mental models, whether it's on writing or working out, that have served me and been most helpful to me. One of the things I found when I was writing my first 2 books is that if you are honest with yourself and really sit down and try to just speak the truth, either on paper or on video, for long enough, it doesn't take that long before 80 to 90% of the ideas that want to come out of you are out in the world in some way, shape, or form. And then it just becomes a matter of learning how to say them better, clearer, more concise with kind of the rest of your life and time. I very much do feel that way with my books and my newsletters. And I anticipate by the end of these 30 days being able to gain a clearer picture and become better able to articulate the things that mean the most to me in terms of ideas. I've spent the last 3-4 years sharpening my pen, so to speak, in the world of writing, and now it's time to sharpen the tongue and become better at speaking and articulating those things. I think one of the highest pursuits for me personally that feels most on my mind is teaching and educating. And so this is sort of my leap into that domain and area. Kind of stepping back and fundamentally how my idea of sort of art creation and life in general has switched in the last 3 years. I've become very firmly rooted in this belief that we must dedicate our lives to bringing out whatever beauty is inside us. I really do believe that each of us has something unique that moves us. You might identify it by asking yourself a question like, what hurts your heart? Or what stirs you? What moves you? Part of that is you do a challenge like this. You create a video for speaking for 10 to 15 minutes every single day. Some people with podcasts, I noticed this. I started to notice 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when I had a podcast with a friend in Minneapolis, and we did maybe 25 episodes. And if you start to witness yourself talk about the same things over and over again. So when you sort of step outside of yourself and just witness, you start to recognize patterns, and those patterns tell you something, point you somewhere about what you're most passionate and interested in. And then you follow those threads as far as they go. That's one way to sort of identify what wants to come out of you. But fundamentally, I do believe that it is the commitment, dedication, duty of our life. The saying that comes to mind is the soul's dream is the life's purpose. Where 3 years ago when I started writing books, this is an example. 3 years ago when I started writing books, it was all this exercise in how do I explore and articulate the ideas and excavate the ideas that are calling me, that want to come out of me, that want to be expressed through me. Even if they're not new, I'm not the source of these ideas, but there's a way that I can tell them, or there's a way that I can steward these ideas into the world that maybe hasn't been done before. And then that sort of unlocked this cascade of things. At first it started with books, and then it started with designing t-shirts, and then it was the newsletter, and then it was creating this character called the Lumenorean, who's something like a cosmic time-traveling librarian of Atlantis, tasked with being the hand of God and delivering ancient truths strategically throughout time to help humanity remember the things worth remembering. And ever since then, life has just become this grand art project where it's hiring designers and other artists and editors and people to sort of help me bring this thing that wants to come out of me, not only to life, but how to make it as beautiful as possible. And there's something fantastic that happens just on the spiritual level to a human being. And I know that I'm speaking from personal experience here. When you start to pour into those things, coming from the corporate world where I was an M&A attorney and just felt the life being sucked out of my soul, shifting more into the state of creativity where I found the priority of my day structured around how do I bring this beauty out of me. I just noticed at a spiritual level I started to shift in terms of how I felt, the lightness I felt, the energy I felt, the enthusiasm and optimism I had for life just completely shifted once I started prioritizing the soul and taking care of the spirit. There's a line in the Gospel of Thomas, and it basically says, if you bring forth what is within you, it will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, it will destroy you. That is the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas, and I come back to that line as often as a reminder that a different variation of the line in Matthew 6 that says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all of this shall be added unto you. It's this idea that if you align yourself with the highest thing, the greatest pursuit, your calling, your purpose, and in the words of Zach, your obsession, and you devote yourself entirely to that, no reservation, no hesitation, everything you need to survive and thrive is recruited to you. You don't have to look for it. And it's counterintuitive because you want to hold on to there are pieces of the world that you don't want to let go of because they're comfort. But as soon as you shift your priorities to be what's highest and best, gets the first fruits of your days, then just your whole life starts to change. Things start to open up, and then it's a slow shift, and it's kind of this domino effect. Whereas momentum builds, you want to do it more and more. You want it to consume more and more of your life, and that's sort of how I feel now in the situation I'm in 3 years later. Since I started this pursuit, is now there's this desire to keep going all in on the art I'm trying to create, whether it's the books or the courses. I'm starting to teach these free courses on classics like Dante's Divine Comedy, or the t-shirts I'm designing, or in general just doing world building stuff with the Lumenorean that I'm now trying to do. So over the course of these 30 days, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a glimpse of my favorite ideas and what I've talked about to date, some of my favorite inspirations and how I go about inspirations, and then some of my go-to mental models for life, entrepreneurship, and fitness. So that's what you can expect in these 30 days. I look forward to getting in front of the camera and articulating a lot of these ideas better, talking about art, and in general trying to participate in the resurrection of the true, good, and beautiful, I think is what we're all asked to do in this lifetime. So together, I hope that we can make some progress in that area. Till tomorrow. Peace.